Now we are at the last part of the topic of estimate, accuracy, and precision. We have looked carefully at estimates, we have looked at accuracy, we have looked at precision. So let's now dwell a bit on how can we make sure we achieve high accuracy and precision. What do we need to do? First of all, we have to be conversant with the facts that at times, and most often times, we do not have the true value of the population. So there is really no knowledge about what is the true representation in terms of measurement of a particular thing or a particular variable for the population. So it becomes difficult for us to actually say how accurate a measurement is. So that is why you will not find it often that a scientist will boast and in social sciences will say they have an accurate representation of what is going on in society, because it is impossible for us to actually know exactly what is the true representation of the perception or these for the entire population, even when we take samples, because we do not know exactly what is the true population value for that particular thing of interest. So accuracy is a little bit difficult to do, but when it comes to physical sciences, this is possible to do, because we can actually measure, we can look at what is the real value that we're supposed to get, and we can look at our instrument. Is our instrument measuring the actual value that we're supposed to get? So we can use different instruments and see how close they are to what we're supposed to observe for the entire population. In terms of precision, this is quite easy to do, because we can look at our sampling error, or we can look at the confidence interval to give us an idea of how precise our measurement is. If we have a very wide range where the 95% of the data falls into, then it's telling us that we are having very poor precision. But if they are very close together, then it's giving us an idea that we have a highly precise estimate or measurement. So there's a slight mistake here. So this is supposed to be our estimate, okay, not out estimate. So take note of that. Also, if we think carefully about it, it should be obvious now that even though you might have a very precise measurement, which means when you repeat it over and over, you get similar results, okay, but we may still be very far away from the true population. So which means we can have a precise measurement, but we might have in the same vein an inaccurate measurement. So since we have situation at times that we do not have prior knowledge of the true population value, we need to take care that we reduce bias in our sampling, because if we reduce the bias in our sampling, we increase the probability that we are going to have an accurate measurement or estimate. So that is all we can do in a situation where we do not have prior knowledge of what is the true population value. So we can take care of precision by making sure we take large samples and representative samples. We can deal with ensuring accuracy of our work by making sure that we reduce bias in our sampling. If bias is in our work, in our sampling, it reduces accuracy, which means we're going to end up with wrong conclusions. When we correct data that is inaccurate, we cannot make the right conclusion with such data. So how do you prevent bias? Because now we know how we can check for our precision. We don't have a way in a situation where we don't have true population value, then we have to make sure we take care of the bias that could reduce our accuracy. So check the reliability and validity of your instrument. is your instrument reliable? In the sense that if I ask this question from one of my respondents today, and I come back tomorrow and I ask them that same question, they should give me the same answer. If today they give me the answer A and tomorrow they give me answer B, it means that they have a different understanding of the question yesterday and today. So that instrument of measurement is not reliable. Validity, it means that what we have, the instrument we have, is measuring what it's supposed to measure. You should not be asking question that is supposed to test perception of changes, perception in terms of changes to new policy, and that same question, instead of checking for perception of older lecturers or older generation to change, is checking for how they perceive the new regime of administration. No, the instrument must focus on asking questions or checking perception based on what it sets out to do. Okay? So make sure you check your instrument for reliability. If I use it here today and I use it tomorrow, is it going to give me similar result? Validity, is it asking or checking what it's supposed to check? I don't want to go with a thermometer to the field that is supposed to, an instrument that is supposed to measure temperature, but it's actually checking for pressure. So you have to make sure that the instrument you have is reliable. When it says the temperature is 25 degrees, it's actually measuring 25 degrees. If I check it today and tomorrow, it's reliable enough that the temperature is telling me is measuring is actually the temperature. So the reading is actually the reading. It's not the reading -5, it's not the reading -2. It is actually that reading. Validity, is it actually measuring temperature? Instead of putting it out and it's ending up measuring pressure instead of temperature. So you have to make sure you check your instrument for that. That will help you to take care of bias and reduce inaccuracy and increase your accuracy. Okay, use appropriate technique for measurement. There are some things that you can design instrument to measure, and there are some things that they are already pre-designed instrument that you can use. Use the appropriate technique. If you need to come up with new technique, make sure you seek guidance from literature and from experts in the field. Sample correctly and randomly as suitable. If you don't sample correctly, there will be bias. If you don't do it randomly, there will be bias. And all this goes into reducing the accuracy of your measurement or estimation. How do you kind of try and make sure you can achieve this? The people who are going to support you for your survey, make sure they are properly trained. Look at your survey plan before you go to the field with an expert. I've seen people come designing 15-20 page questionnaires to go to the field, and the first thing I tell them is, how sure are you that you are going to be able to find somebody who's going to sit with you and answer all these questions and provide you with correct answers without getting angry or without getting agitated that they want to leave, that you are wasting their time? So you must design your questionnaire taking into consideration the people that you are going to meet, your respondent. So make sure you look at your survey plans in terms of time it's going to take, the resources that it's going to require, with an expert to make sure that you are preparing appropriately. make sure you supervise your data collection exercise. If you don't supervise it well, you're likely to come back with very poor data, and you would have expended resources on the exercise, which might amount to waste. Make sure you do a quality check on the data before you subject it to analysis. Do a quality check by looking at unnecessarily high value, unnecessarily low value, values that are incorrectly written. For example, somebody says they are unmarried and they are 16 or 13 years old, yet they have 15 kids. There are some that present a very, very serious problem. It's impossible for them to be 13 years old and have 15 kids. So you have to look at this kind of disparities in order to fish out where there are problems within your field data. Now, let's round up on these by looking at what are the advantages and disadvantages of using this kind of sample sizes. If you use large sample size, you are likely to increase the precision of your work. But that does not remove bias, because you can go to a particular, let's say you're sampling Obiakpo, your field, your study area is Obiakpo local government. If you go and sample in, let's say, somewhere that you are very familiar with, because of that familiarity, you just say, let me just do all my sampling here. There is already a bias, because that place that you selected is likely not to be a representative of the entire Obiakpo local government. Okay? The other challenge is that if you have a very large sample, it requires more resources to collect it, and also increases the challenge of quality control. So which means you have to have a good knowledge of all the different communities spread across Obiakpo local government, so that you can be able to check when people who helped you in collecting your field staff, when the data comes back, to be able to do a quality check. It becomes a little bit challenging. It doesn't mean it's impossible. It's just that it's a little bit more challenging to do quality control. If you have a smaller sample size, then you are losing precision. It creates bias, because you are going to end up with just small set of people that are likely not to be representative of the entire population. It also decreases the confidence in your survey result, because if you have sampled 20 or 30 people in a place where you have population of over 200,000 people, how can we use the data you collect for 20 people to generalize for 200,000 people? That is inadequate. So remember, it is better to be vaguely right than to be precisely wrong. So always, it's better to be vaguely right than be precisely wrong, which means if we do it over and over again, you are wrong, you are being precisely wrong. But if you are vaguely right, it means you are actually close enough. You are not particularly spot on in terms of true representation of the true value, but you are close to it. So it's better to be close to the right thing than be precisely wrong, which means every single time you utter the statement or you say what you're saying, you are wrong. So don't go that way. It's very important in your research. We'll draw it to a close there. And remember, there will be quizzes at the end of it. And also, let me put this out there. All these questions, you should be able to answer them to help you to check your understanding of where your knowledge is at when it comes to the topic that we have covered across these 4 sessions. Bye.